Welcome back, beautiful people. Listen, man, I know y'all ain't seen me for a minute. Listen, man, school, work, I've been traveling around doing some things. Listen, I know I've been neglecting you, but I'm back, all right? Listen, I promise I'm going to hit y'all definitely with some more consistency. Listen, I had a lot of things going. Y'all just know that. But listen, your boy is back and you already know the vibes, man. I'm your host, Richard Moss, and this is Sports Vibes Podcast, man. So listen, like I said, welcome back. I know I've been gone for a minute, but listen, right back like I never left. Anyways, first and foremost, I just want to say off the rip, RIP to my man Nip, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen, it's a marathon, not a sprint, man. The marathon continues. Rest in peace to that man, and blessings to his family and all his loved ones and everything. So now, let's get into the reason why y'all are here, man. Listen, a lot of things have happened. Let's just put it that way, and we gonna get into all of them. Now, clearly, we can't get into every single thing because this would be a 3-hour show. Listen. But don't worry, we're going to cover everything. Listen, I already know y'all been missing your boy, so we're going to jump straight into it. So first and foremost, okay, let's talk about the NCAA tournament, okay? Championship game was Monday, okay? You had the Texas Tech Red Raiders against the Virginia Cavaliers. I can't even imagine anybody having this matchup in their bracket. I mean, I think everybody's bracket was busted once Duke and North Carolina lost, honestly. But listen, shouts out to Virginia, who beat Texas Tech 85-77 in OT. Way better game than I expected. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest with you, these are two of the top defensive teams in the nation. So I really thought it was gonna be a low scoring, 41-45 ugly type game, honestly. But it was not. Full, jam-packed, full, especially in the second half. First half was a little slow. They kind of had to feel each other out and stuff like that. I mean, after 5-6 minutes, I think the score was still 3-2. I'm like, guys, what are we watching? A Little League game? But anyways, action definitely picked up, especially in the second half. Listen, in all honesty, I thought Texas Tech was going to win. In all honesty, I mean, you're up three with a couple seconds left. I mean, what? I just don't understand. And this is where coaching comes into play. Why give up the three? Why not just give up the layup? You had one of the Virginia players penetrate the lane, go to the basket, but you're going to come off your man and leave him wide open on a 3-point so they could tie the game? Okay, a 2, you're still up 1. I just don't understand how Texas Tech defenders didn't even process that. But like I said, Virginia hits the 3, goes into overtime. Actually kind of really remind me of the Kansas-Memphis game, almost over a decade ago. Honestly, in that national championship game, when Mario Chalmers hit the 3 in the corner to send it into overtime. And, Memphis, they lost. D. Rose and them boys lost. But like I said, great game from start to finish. Like I said, this wasn't a really sexy pick as far as the NCAA goes, honestly. I mean, like I said, no Duke, no North Carolina, really no blue bloods in this. And, I mean, it brings up the question, is this the new mold now? Is the one and done thing kind of, getting a little outcast? Your last 2 national champions, Villanova, and now this year Virginia, you're talking about teams that have, 3 and 4 year players, juniors and seniors that have been there for a while, have gone to school for the years and not one and done, like, your blue bloods, your Kentuckys, your Dukes, your North Carolinas, things of that nature. I mean, do you think we're going to see a shift in the NCAA as far as those go? Kids staying in college? Probably not. I mean, just for the simple fact, look, the ultimate goal is to get into the NBA, okay? Now, you know, at the end of the day, you're talking about people or kids that have come from backgrounds that are not as lucrative as others. So, I mean, if I only have to play in school 1 year, then I can make the jump to the next level and make that kind of money. I mean, why would I stay? I mean, honestly, you know, why would I stay? I mean, don't get me wrong, a national championship is cool at the end of the day in college, but I know I'd much rather want to win an NBA championship, or at least, you know, get to the NBA faster than if I was to stay in college 3 and 4 years. So, I mean, shouts out to Virginia and stuff like that. But like I said, the one and done is just too, that's college basketball now. You know, it's the one and done. I mean, times change and, you know, you change with it. You know, back in the day, you know, maybe it was, you know, cool to stay in, you know, college a couple years, you know, build a team, you know, win, you know, national championships. But listen, people want to get straight to the NBA. They want to get straight to it, man. No type of detours. But, you know, if I have to be forced to go to school for this year, listen, I'm going to do my 1 year and then I'm out. You know what I mean? Listen, that's what it is. I mean, it is what it is. So, you know, we shall see. Like I said, I'm so upset about my Dukies losing, but hey, you know, it is what it is. You can't win them all. RJ Barrett and Zion Williams pretty much projected to go into the NBA draft. I think Cam Reddish should probably leave as well, honestly, even though I think he should stay another year. But, I mean, you know, that's ultimately up to them. But, like I said, all in all, great NCAA game this past Monday. Great championship game, one of the better championship games that I saw, honestly. And then, you know, once it got into overtime, I mean, I really just feel like, you know, Texas Tech got into double bonus pretty early. So, you know, Virginia was shooting 2 shots, you know, from that point on. I mean, they shot 10 free throws in overtime. So, I mean, if by that standard, I mean, you're probably going to lose, honestly. But all in all, great game from both teams. And, you know, what more can I say? Congratulations to Virginia again. Now, let's get into my favorite sport. Let's get into the NFL, man. Listen, a lot has happened in these last couple months, honestly, with the NFL. I mean, unless you live under a rock, I mean, you already know that Odell Beckham Jr. got traded to the Cleveland Browns and Antonio Brown got traded to the Oakland Raiders. I mean, first and foremost, let me just say that Antonio Brown, I mean, just why? You know, like why this whole fiasco? When the AB situation went down, first and foremost, when he was, you know, calling out Ben, you know, talking about the Steelers organization and the negative lighting and things like that, I said, well, you know, to me, it looked like a plot to get more money, you know, to secure a bag, essentially. You know, Antonio Brown kind of ran through all his guaranteed money and wasn't, you know, going to be paid the same amount this year that I guess he felt he deserved. So he wanted a new contract, of course. So he was acting out. Gets traded to Oakland, gets $30 million guaranteed, brand new contract, new environment, new team, new facility, new coaching staff, new everything. But yet, you're still talking about the Steelers as to so far as to go to lash out against Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, for what, AB? You know, you gonna say this man fumbled away the season and that's why y'all missed the playoffs? I mean, what about week 17 when you didn't show up for your team? You know, you didn't come to any practices. You didn't even tell anybody. It wasn't like you told them, hey, look, man, you know, technically you guys were still in contention. I mean, you know, the Browns had to win in order for you guys to make the playoffs, but still, like, why not be with your teammates? I mean, you know, but listen, you know, AB is a grown man, but just to lash out against Juju, to me, just seems weak. And, you know, screams of jealousy. I mean, Juju led the team in receptions and yards this year, made the Pro Bowl, but it's not like AB was far behind. He made the Pro Bowl as well. I mean, to me, I'm just like, why would you not want your teammate to shine too? I mean, you're shining as well. Like, You know, that's just pure jealousy. And then to go out your way to post a screenshot of a DM that he sent you while he was in college. Like, come on, man. How bad can you look, AB? The man was, he wanted to get where you're at. He wanted to become the type of player that you were, you know, exuding in the NFL while he was in college. Before he even got to the NFL, before he even became a contemporary, he was asking you for advice in order to get there. Now, whether you gave him advice or if you did give him advice, clearly it's working. Because and this will be Juju's third year, and he's already, you know, a Pro Bowl type level receiver, a #1 receiver essentially. I mean, so whatever you told him, AB must have worked. I mean, he's about to be the new AB. You know, he's the #1 receiver in Pittsburgh. You're gone, so you know what does it matter? You know, to me, the biggest statement you can make is your production on the field. You want to get back at the Steelers. You want to show the Steelers that, you know, that they should have never let you go, or they should have, you know, gave you the money that you were looking for. Listen, go out and go perform. Listen, catch 120 balls in Oakland, okay? 1,500 receiving yards, okay? 15 plus touchdowns. You know, make the Pro Bowl, do things. That's how you, to me, show like, listen, man, y'all missed a great thing. Now, is that gonna happen? We'll wait and see. I mean, do I think Derek Carr is the type of quarterback that Ben Roethlisberger is? Hell no. Okay? No. But he's not completely the worst. He can play quarterback. I mean, he's not a scrub. You know, Derek Carr can get over $100 million for nothing. So, but we shall see how AB looks in his new team. But, bro, I mean, you know, in all honesty, just let it go. You know, listen, produce on the field. Don't worry about what these people is doing. Listen, the relationship is over, okay? You're not a Pittsburgh Steeler anymore, okay? You're an Oakland Raider. Focus on that so you can move forward. And then, not only that, you know, what does it show your new teammates? Like, you know, it seems to me like an invasion of privacy. I can't even tell you anything if I'm another Oakland Raider player. Like, I can't even come to AB, you know, in confidence, because, you know, he's gonna leak all my damn business. But like I said, you know, I wish AB the best. You know, good luck to you out there in Oakland. Listen, that's a tough division, man. So, you know, you gonna need it. Okay, you are gonna need it. So, as far as the Steelers go, I mean, losing Le'Veon Bell, losing Antonio Brown, I mean, you would think that they're gonna suffer. I don't think they'll be as bad as people think, just for the simple fact is, I mean, regardless of anything, no matter how dysfunctional the Pittsburgh Steelers are or whatever, I mean, they win at least 9 games a year every year. I mean, that's just, you know, plain and simple. That's been pretty consistent. I mean, to me, they have to more so worry about the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you still got Juju, okay? You still got James Conner, who aren't AB and Le'Veon Bell, but they're decent enough versions of them to where you can get by. Big Ben, not completely washed up, not the Big Ben that we know, you know, when he's throwing off, you know, middle linebackers and, you know, throwing 60, 70-yard bombs down the field, but still a competent enough quarterback, still elite enough to play at that higher level. And you have a coach in Mike Tomlin, who to me is one of the best coaches in the NFL. You got a stable organization. I mean, it's not like, you know, any type of monumental changes are happening in Pittsburgh. So I think Pittsburgh will be okay. Probably win, you know, 10 games possibly this year. So, you know, we'll see. Does that win the division? We have to wait and see. You know, we have to wait and see what's up with Baltimore. You know, we got to wait and see what's up with Cleveland, which brings me to my next point. Cleveland. All right? Listen, if I was a Cleveland fan or I lived in the Cleveland, Ohio area, man, I'm excited. It's probably the most excitement I've got since LeBron James came back to Cleveland. I mean, honestly. Now, listen, let's pump the brakes. I'm not saying that the Cleveland Browns are going to win the Super Bowl. But, boy, They're a lot closer than they were last year. I can tell you that. I mean, with the addition of OBJ, you know, along with Jarvis Landry, okay, and Njoku, they're good tight end. I mean, you got Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position, got Nick Chubb running the rock, and not only that, you picked up Kareem Hunt, who will be suspended for the first 8 games of the season, you know, for, you know, his you know, domestic violence situation, you know, a couple years ago and stuff like that. But, you know, we won't get into that. But look, I mean, listen, to me, the Browns they're on the up and up. And then, you know, on the defensive side of the ball, you got Myles Garrett and Ward, you know, playing some pretty good football. The young leaders of that young defense. I mean, listen, do not sleep on Cleveland, okay? I know the Browns have been at the bottom for a long time, man. Cleveland Browns fans been suffering. But listen, help is on the way, okay? Honestly and realistically for me, I mean, the Browns won 7 games last year. So, I mean, it's nothing. I mean, I can definitely see them winning 9, 10 games again this year. I mean, if, you know, of course, you know, if everybody's healthy and on the same page and the chemistry's fine, I don't see why the Browns can't win, you know, 9, 10 games this year. I mean, I know I just said the Steelers will probably win 9, 10 games. So, listen, it'll be a battle for that division. We shall see. We shall see. Like I said, I mean, I just think, you know, with OBJ, listen, it was time. You need to change the scenery. You're with your boy Jarvis Landry. I mean, if I'm Odell, I mean, I'm excited. You know, I'm ready to show the world, like, look, it's even another level to this. I mean, I already feel like, you know, OBJ is one of the, you know, the top 3, you know, receivers in the league. You know, maybe 4th, you know, if you want to put D-Hop above him. But, I mean, he can only get better from here, honestly, in my personal opinion. I mean, you know, Baker Mayfield, he's not an elite quarterback yet, but he got to be better than Eli. I mean, got to be better than Eli. So we shall see, man. We shall see how things go down in the AFC North. It's gonna be a pretty interesting division, man. Very interesting decision, in all likelihood. So now on to my boys, man. You know, my Jags, who signed Nick Foles. You know, our biggest offseason acquisition. Who signed Nick Foles. Listen, when this signing went down, everybody was hitting my line. Oh, Rich, man, your Jags, Nicky Foles. I'm like, look, man, Nick Foles is cool. I have no issues with Nick Foles, but I just don't know if Nicky can do it for a full season. Okay, can he give you a great sample size, couple games, string some really good wins together in a short period of time? Yes. But over 16, now you're the man, you know. Let's be honest. Blake Bortles is out of town, okay? Got booted out of town. Nick Foles, you're our guy, okay? Okay, and we expect a lot from you. Granted, now, you know, being a realistic Jags fan, I know Jacksonville is not Philly, okay? I know that. But, you know, you did lead the Eagles those last 3 games and through the playoffs, okay? So I'm expecting some level of success from Nick Foles in all honesty, okay? In all honesty. I'm not saying Jags Super Bowl as much as I want to, but what I'm saying is we're in a better position than we were with Blake Bortles. I will say that. I mean, still have, you know, a decent enough defense, even though they didn't necessarily play like it last year, but I still think that defense, you know, can be within the top 10. You know, we did lose Malik Jackson. You know, sorry, Lee. Hey, go get that bag. But the Jags defense could still be a top 10 defense in my honest opinion. And if Nick Foles can just play, you know, just not be the reason we lose, I think, you know, we can do pretty good. We don't have that no easy peasy division either. I mean, two of our division teams made the playoffs last year, you know, the Colts and the Texans. So, I mean, we got our work cut out for us. And, you know, the Titans ain't no slouch either. The Titans will play you tough. So we shall see what Nick Foles does with the Jags. I mean, like I said, in all honesty, I'm thinking, if we can, 9-7, 8-8, 9-7, maybe try to contend for, wild card position in the AFC, or try to even win the division, we'll see. Like I said, I got to see what my boy Nick is putting out on the field. So we shall see what happens with that. Also, on a little side note, a couple of days ago, Leonard Fournette got busted for driving with a suspended license. Just for that, like, I just don't understand how you an NFL football player and you got a suspended license. Like, I can understand somebody regular. You probably got to pay like fees and tickets and this. You making, millions of dollars. Come on, Leonard Fournette, man, take care of that, man. We need you on the field. You can't rush for over 1,000 yards behind, a jail cell. So, go ahead and get that taken care of, man. As far as the NFL draft goes, I mean, like I said, unless you're living under a rock, I mean, you all know that more than likely, I'm thinking Kyler Murray is going to go number 1 to the Arizona Cardinals. Just for the simple fact is, like you have this whole new regime change. You got a new head coach in Cliff Kingsbury. Yes, you just drafted Josh Rosen last year. You moved up to get him. I understand that you drafted him 10 overall. I mean, look, Josh Rosen, you a good dude. You seem like a decent quarterback. I mean, you didn't really have the most spectacular rookie year, but, we understand, that doesn't necessarily fall on you. Sometimes, man, listen, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. It honestly does. I mean, if you, get traded or, they send you elsewhere. I mean, look, don't take it as a negative. Like, look, just you want to show people. Like, sometimes where where you're picked isn't not necessarily where you're gonna finish or where you're gonna have your best years. I mean, look at Eli and Phillip Rivers. Eli was about to be in San Diego, but he didn't want to go. So, I mean, I guess that's a little bit different situation. But all in all I'm saying is that Arizona, I'm pretty sure they're picking Kyler Murray number 1, just for the simple fact, I mean, you just can't pass up on that. You're a brand new head coach. You have the ability to bring in a brand new quarterback, that'll be on a rookie deal. Number 1 overall pick, was a Heisman Trophy winner last year. I mean, kind of hits all the spots. I mean, maybe you're a little bit worried about his height and how small he is at the quarterback position. But, I mean, once you get into the game, you can be the smallest player on the field but have the biggest impact. So, like I said, I mean, Arizona also has a whole bunch of other stuff to figure out as well. I mean, one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. You have no real receiver after Larry Fitzgerald, who's, 150, no disrespect to Larry, future Hall of Famer. But I'm just saying, I mean, listen, Larry's been carrying this franchise for a long time. So, I mean, he needs some help. Honestly, I mean, you have David Johnson, who isn't the David Johnson of a couple years ago, but, still a pretty good running back. Was mostly injury-free last year. A decent enough defense. Now, the only thing is that you play in a very tough division, with Seattle and with, the Rams. Listen, that's a tough division. I mean, even in San Fran, they got what they think is a franchise quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. So, I mean, it's going to be tough, Arizona. But, like I said, I just don't think you could pass up on Kyler Murray. If you do pass up on Kyler Murray, more than likely they'll probably get Nick Bosa. But, we shall see. We shall see what happens with that. But, my prediction, Kyler Murray, number 1 overall pick. So now, let's get into the NBA, National Basketball Association. So listen, man, it's that time of the year, one of my favorite times of the year, the NBA playoffs. All right, the NBA season is officially done. We are done. 82 games came and went. All right, it is time for the NBA playoffs, and they start tomorrow. Okay, woo! Listen, a lot of things then happened in the NBA since the last time we was here. And first and foremost, let me just get out the way. Again, unless you live under a rock, you know that Tuesday, Magic Johnson had just a out of nowhere press conference to let the world know that he's stepping down as president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Lakers. Me personally, I was just as surprised as, you know what, how many people on Earth? The other 7 billion people on Earth. I mean, I just didn't see this coming at all. I mean, why? You know, Magic, discussed about how he wasn't having fun anymore. He couldn't be Magic. He couldn't be, the fun-loving guy that he used to. Yeah, Magic. That's what comes with the territory. I mean, you are a basketball GM, okay? You're not Magic Johnson. You have to be Irving Johnson, the president of basketball operations. I mean, that's what it entails. I mean, for someone that's been around the NBA since the 80s, I mean, you're talking over almost 40 years you've been a part of 80, damn near almost 40 years. You've been a part of the NBA in some way and stuff like that. And you didn't know this is what goes into the job of being a general manager, that you might have to make tough decisions. You have to, scout players. You have to, do some actual work. I mean, come on, Magic. Like, what did you think? You thought you could just sit in your office and just chill, and it was gonna happen like that? Like, come on, man. To me personally, I'm just like, why? I mean, let's be honest. To me, you had the ultimate, I don't want to say excuse, but at least the ultimate pass. Listen, your entire team was hurt this year, okay? When the injuries started piling up, you were 4th in the West, okay? I mean, 2 games out of the first seed Golden State Warriors. So I just don't see, why wouldn't you go through this summer, go through this off season, try to acquire more talent, and then come back next year? Now, if next year, you're like, something happens or whatever, and you're like, you know what, this is not the job for me. But I mean, it was only for 2 years. And like I said, really and truly, your first year, you did not know LeBron James. You had all these young people. You draft Lonzo Ball. I mean, what? I'm not understanding, Magic. Like, why not just finish it out, or at least see it out to the end, or until LeBron leaves? Like, I just couldn't agree with it, because, like I said, do I think Magic didn't anticipate it would be this much work? Yes. I mean, of course, you've never been a GM before, so you don't know the type of workload. But once you realized it, you're like, look, man, I got to get my butt in the high gear. Now, look, I'm a big person of, look, if your heart's not in it, don't do it. Don't force something or whatever if your heart's not in it, because then it's just going to end up blowing in your face anyway. But you're Magic Johnson. I mean, you are part of the Lakers. Like, it was just crazy to me. I mean, it's also said that, I mean, he didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell Jeannie Buss. He didn't talk to LeBron. He didn't talk to Rob Pelinka. I mean, so you literally left like a thief in the night. I mean, because the Lakers were playing in Portland. They didn't know anything. Everybody found out, off a tweet. Just like everybody else in the world found out. Like, I don't know, Magic. That one it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And if, and what's crazy is that if the Lakers it's almost like a catch-22, because if you want the Lakers to succeed, Magic, but if the Lakers succeed, now people are going to look at you like, God, man, you were really a horrible GM. Like, but hey, look, that's Magic Johnson. He can do what he wants. I wish him the best. I hope he does get back to being happy, to where he can talk to any NBA player that he wants to, go on vacation whenever he wants to. Listen, hey, best of luck to you, Magic, you know, in all your future endeavors. Listen, man, also, too, let me hold like a quick meal real quick, Magic. You know what I'm saying? Please, can I get a meal? Anyways, next order of business, man. Listen, NBA season is over, so time to talk about one of the most coveted NBA awards, and that is the NBA MVP. If I had a vote, if you asked me today who my MVP is, listen, as much as I want to give it to James Harden, and he is completely deserving of it. I mean, if he don't get it, I mean, it'd be crazy. But I have to just give the slightest, the tiniest little edge to the Greek Freak. I mean, just for the simple fact that, yeah, James Harden, superb offensively, but so is the Greek Freak. And not only that, the Greek Freak might be in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. Think about that. You're in contention for the NBA MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year. That means that you're showing your presence on both sides of the ball. You know, again, don't get me wrong. James Harden, amazing. 50-point games every night. Triple-doubles, you know, making people look foolish. But the Bucks do have a better record. They have the best record in the NBA. Think about that. Not only in the Eastern Conference, but in the West too. And the West is supposedly so much better than the East, which it is. But, I mean, the Bucks have 60 wins. Nobody else even has 60 wins. The next closest is Toronto with 58. So, I mean, that has to account for something. You're the best player on the best team. 9 times out of 10, usually you'll get the MVP. But James Harden is not making it easy, man. I mean, it's just, I have to give the slightest little edge. Please, Rockets fans and James Harden fans, do not go at my neck. I know he's great. He's superb. Fear the beard. I got it. But that man in Milwaukee, that man is something. It's crazy. So that's who I'd have to give my MVP to, honestly, is Giannis over James Harden's slightest edge. But, you know, it is what it is. So that's for as far as MVP. Now, third order of business, now that the NCAA tournament has finished, next step as far as that goes would be the NBA draft. And we're talking about who gets Zion. In all honesty, the Knicks have the worst record in the NBA, so they'll have the highest, I think it's down to 14% per team now, something like that. I'm pretty sure the Knicks are gonna get Zion Williamson. Now listen, I don't want to do the conspiracy thing, you know, like back in '85 when the Knicks got Patrick Ewing. All I'm saying is that when superstars are in premier locations, LA and New York, the NBA is just a little bit better. I mean, could you imagine Zion Williamson in the Garden? Oh my God. Listen, and not only Zion in the Garden, if let's say a Kyrie was to come to New York, a KD, you know, some marquee players, a Kemba maybe, who knows? Listen, that would be something. I mean, that would be bringing basketball back to New York, honestly. I mean, I'm not even a Knicks fan, and I wouldn't mind seeing that, honestly. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. I mean, Zion at MSG every day. So we shall see what goes on with the NBA draft. Like I said, more than likely, I'm pretty sure the ping pong balls are going to fall in the way of the Knicks. Just because, listen, the NBA, it's a business, man. And what makes the business money is when superstars are in remote locations. So, Zion, you might be headed up to New York. If you are, man, listen, I'm going to tell you, bring a coat. Get you a nice coat. Get it from New York, okay? Because you get a coat from somewhere else, it's not gonna stand. Listen, it snows. It snows up there in New York, all right? Ain't like that weather down there at Duke in North Carolina. So that's that. Now let's get to the nitty gritty, the NBA playoffs. So the playoffs start tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow starts round 1. So I'm gonna go through the matchups as far as matchup. So let me first and foremost, let me start with the East. So as the standings sit right now, so you got Milwaukee at 1, Toronto at 2, Philly at 3, Boston at 4, Indy at 5, Brooklyn at 6, Orlando, the surprise of the whole season, at 7, and then my Detroit Pistons at number 8. So the 1-8 matchup, Milwaukee and Detroit. Listen, as much as I would love my boys to upset Milwaukee, you see, I just gave Giannis all this praise. He's the MVP in my book. I mean, the Pistons are not going to win this series. As much as I would love them to, it's just tough. I'm contemplating, honestly, going to Detroit. I want to go to a game, honestly. I've never been to a Pistons playoff game. But with that being said, this 1-8 matchup, pretty overwhelming, honestly. Just, we might be able to get a game, you know, but I honestly see Milwaukee winning 4-1 for that and advancing to the second round. So that means my Pistons are out. Toronto versus Orlando, another pretty one-sided series, essentially. Maybe Orlando could get a game, possibly, if they sit Kawhi Leonard, or Kawhi Leonard misses a game, which he shouldn't. If he's healthy, he should play. But I got that one going 5 games as well. Gentlemen sweep 4-1. Now, Philly, Brooklyn. Now, in all honesty, of course, Philly is the better team off the rip. But Brooklyn could make this interesting. Brooklyn really could make this interesting. I don't think Brooklyn is going to win, but they could make it interesting. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Brooklyn pushes it to 6, okay? I'm going to say Brooklyn pushes it to 6. Philly closes them out in 6, okay? And then 4-5, which will probably be, this will probably be the most competitive matchup, is 4-5, Boston, Indiana. I got Boston winning, but it's not going to be an easy series. I think this is a little bit of a longer series as well, and this goes 4-2 as well. But Boston wins in that regard. So we got the Eastern Conference semis. So you got Milwaukee versus Boston and Toronto versus Philly. The Milwaukee versus Boston. Oh, man, listen, I don't want to say this. I picked him as MVP, but I don't know if Milwaukee makes it past Boston. Now, if Brogdon comes back and Mirotic comes back, because if I'm Milwaukee, you don't need Brogdon and you don't need Mirotic to beat Detroit in the first round. Okay, all you need is Greek Freak. No need to try to rush them back or anything like that. Let them get healthy, things like that. So no need to rush on that one. If they can get them by the second round, stuff like that, I think this is probably a 7-game series, okay? And with that game 7 being in Milwaukee, and as bad as I want to pick Milwaukee, man, just that boy Kyrie Irving, he's been here. He's been here before. He has been here before, okay? And he's gonna have, listen, he's gonna have. You gotta remember, listen, Kyrie missed the entire playoffs last year, and Boston made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7 in Boston against LeBron. Like, listen, if anybody wants to prove something in these playoffs, it's Kyrie Irving. Now, if I'm Budenholzer, listen, the Milwaukee Bucks have been one of the best defensive teams this year. They play great team defense, okay? But if I'm Budenholzer, listen, at the end of the day, who's the guy in Boston? That will happen to be Kyrie Irving, okay? He's a champion, okay? He's the ultimate closer, okay? He has that killer instinct. You have to put a hat on him. I put Giannis on Kyrie all game. I'm sorry, I just do it. Listen, I know they'll be playing pick and rolls, but listen, Giannis, you got to fight and get through those. Put Giannis on Kyrie, and you force Boston to say, hey, no, listen, Al Horford, Morris, Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward. You guys are going to beat us, not Kyrie Irving, in my honest opinion. I'm not saying you have to focus. It's all about Kyrie. I mean, they do have other players in Boston. They got a pretty deep team. But listen, Kyrie is that guy. You put Greek Freak on Kyrie and completely take him out the game, I think that's honestly your best chance, in all honesty. And you do that from game 1, okay? You don't wait till game 7, okay? Budenholzer, put Greek Freak on Kyrie Irving, okay? Take that man completely out the game. So, but I'm not 100% sure Budenholzer is going to do that. We shall see. But if I had to pick, I'm going with Boston, you know, on some last second Kyrie doing something crazy. Boston wins, okay, 4-3 in game 7 against Milwaukee. I'm sorry, Milwaukee fans, Greek Freak fans, don't kill me. That's just what I'm seeing, in all honesty. Toronto and Philly, this is definitely a 7-game series, no question. Philly is a lot better this year. So is Toronto. Listen, I'm just saying, this is another 7-game series, and I really and truly want to pick Philly. I really want to pick Philly, but that man Kawhi, man, he can put a hat on Ben Simmons. He really could put a hat on Ben Simmons. And, you know, with the Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol look that you're going to be throwing at Joel Embiid, he's going to have his hands full, in all honesty. So, but we shall see. But if you gun to my head, I got to go with Toronto, okay? I'm going with Toronto winning, all right, 7-game series in Toronto. So that leads us to the Eastern Conference Finals, okay? Eastern Conference Finals, Toronto versus Boston. And I got, I want to pick Kyrie so bad. I want Kyrie to go to the finals, but I just don't see them beating Toronto. Another 7-game series. It's going 7. Toronto beats Boston. And that is your Eastern Conference champion, Toronto. I mean, I just feel like Kawhi, he'll just be a different claw in the playoffs. I mean, especially when they do play Boston. I mean, they match up very good. I mean, the Raptors are pretty deep themselves. They got some pretty good wing players. I mean, and if you have to, again, you know, I think, you know, Kawhi will be guarding Kyrie Irving, you know, and I just believe more in Kawhi's defense against Kyrie's offense, in all honesty. So your Eastern Conference champions are the Toronto Raptors. Listen, Drake is going to be in the finals. Ain't that something? 666. But anyway, so now let's move over to the Western Conference. So your 1 seed is Golden State, 2 is Denver, 3 is Portland, 4 is Houston, 5, the 5th seed is Utah, 6 is OKC, 7 is San Antonio, and the Clippers round out the Western Conference playoffs at number 8. So you got your 1-8 matchup, Golden State versus the Clippers. Little side note, Steph Curry did kind of, they said he sprained his leg or tweaked his leg a little bit. He will be ready by the first game of the playoffs. To me, if I'm Steve Kerr, listen, don't bring Steph Curry back till after this first round. Listen, Golden State, you've been here before, okay? You've won series when Curry didn't necessarily play a lot of games and stuff like that. That's why you have Kevin Durant, okay? You have Kevin Durant, okay? That's your guy when Steph is out, okay? You don't need Steph Curry to beat the Clippers, in all honesty. I mean, the Clippers aren't just going to roll over and stuff like that. But like I said, I don't think you do not need, I mean, their best players, Gallinari, the Clippers. So listen, you do not need Steph Curry to beat the Clippers. Let Steph Curry rest, get completely healthy, because the second round is when, the fire gets turned up. In all honesty, I think this is a sweep. The Warriors, they get the Clippers out of here early, 4-zip. Listen, I'm sorry, Clippers fans, but hey, who knows? Maybe you might get KD or in Kawhi this offseason. Who knows? We shall see. But Clippers, they're out. Okay, they're losing to Golden State. Again, do not play Steph Curry. You do not need Steph Curry to beat the Clippers. Just play the Clippers, beat them, so he can rest, okay? Then next we got the Denver-San Antonio matchup. This is actually pretty good. I mean, I think Denver is the better team, and they will win the series. But listen, do not sleep on San Antonio. They could probably get a game, or probably definitely a game. They might even could steal two, in all honesty. Pop has been here before. Granted, he has a completely new team, but in my honest opinion, listen, you get LaMarcus Aldridge going early, DeMar DeRozan kind of fits in, and everybody else just kind of finds their place. You're really gonna have to lean heavily on LaMarcus and DeRozan, if you want to make this series interesting. But I think Denver wins in 6. In all honesty, Denver beats San Antonio in 6. So now, this to me is probably one of the most interesting. This is the most interesting matchup: Portland versus OKC. Listen, Dame time versus Russ time. This is going to be a good. This is going to be a good one. Granted, I think OKC is going to win, just for the simple fact Portland doesn't have Nurkic, and CJ's been banged up. But I mean, and shouts out to Portland, man. Portland is definitely a team that does not get enough love. I mean, they finished in the top 3 the last couple years in the Western Conference, winning 50+ games every year. Man, Dame does not get enough credit at all. I mean, I feel bad, man. It's such a small market, but it is what it is. But yeah, OKC, I mean, just Russ, PG, and Steven Adams, they got a pretty, decent bench. OKC, I just see OKC winning, probably 4-1. In all honesty, you try to get them out of there early, but Dame will get you 1. I know that for sure. So 4-1, OKC beats Portland 4-1. And then now got the 4-5 matchup: Houston versus Utah. Again, Houston to me is the better team. Utah is a good team, but they did struggle a little bit this season. In all honesty, still won 50 games. But, I mean, what are you going to do about James Harden? Who's stopping James Harden on Utah? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the Beard is just going to go crazy. If he can play like the Beard. I mean, but I see Houston winning that series 4-1. In all honesty, 4-1, gentleman's sweep for Utah. Spider Mitchell will get you 1. So, that's what I see. So, you got Golden State advancing, Denver advancing, Houston, and OKC. So that means that the Warriors are playing OKC in the second round, that's really the matchup that I wanted to see. I want to see Russ, be Russ. Again, I think the Warriors will win. Again, if they rest Steph Curry and he comes back healthy for the second round series against OKC, I mean, that's going to be a good matchup. But I see Golden State winning, beating OKC 4-2. I see, that's just Golden State's the best team all around, especially if they have a healthy Curry, a healthy Durant, healthy Klay, healthy Draymond, and DeMarcus. I ain't even mentioned DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, it's just too much. But I see them winning. Can OKC make it interesting? Yes. I mean, you got that bad man Russell. So I see them winning it in 6. Golden State wins 4-2. Russ gets you 2 games. with PG and Steven Adams and stuff like that. Denver, Houston. In all honesty, I think this might be a 7-game series. This might be a 7-game series. This might probably be one of the better matchups, honestly, Denver versus Houston. But Houston wins it out. I mean, James Harden has to play lights out. Lights out. I'm talking about lights out, all right? Because Denver plays great team basketball, especially with them having home court advantage. You got to go to Denver for a Game 7. But I think James Harden can do it. In all honesty, Denver, they're a good team, but I don't think they're a championship-level team just yet. Good team, but you need that championship DNA. Now, granted, nobody in Houston has any championships, but you have championship-level players, as far as James Harden, Chris Paul, things of that nature. So I see the Rockets winning in 7 against the Denver Nuggets. So 4-3. Game 7 in Denver, James Harden puts on the show. That's what I'm saying. So now we got the Western Conference Finals, okay, which is a rematch from last year, which is where everybody wanted to see anyway. I got Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State wins. And then honestly, this time I think everybody's healthy. Golden State wins in 6. Golden State got something to prove to show them that, look, man, we know our mistakes last year. We know what happened last year. I want to say a 7-game series, but I think Golden State finishes them out in 6, in all honesty. Just because Golden State, they're on a mission this year. They got to show, look, man, these Rockets, that beard guy, yeah, he not with us, all right? And James Harden, oh, yeah, all right. So, but I think a 6-game series, in all honesty, 4-2, Golden State wins. So that means that Golden State and the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors are meeting in the NBA Finals. That is my prediction right now. Okay? Now, as far as a winner, I'm going with Golden State. I'm sorry. I'm going with Golden State again just because it's just too much firepower, man. Way too much firepower. I got Golden State winning in 7. Okay? They're winning in 7. In Golden State, another parade before they leave Oracle and all that stuff. The Golden State Warriors are going to be your NBA champions this year. All right? So those are my predictions. We shall see, obviously, as the playoffs go on. And, of course, my future shows and stuff, we'll be talking about the matchups, seeing how right I am and stuff like that. I'm going to definitely have to go back to this video as a reference. But all right, that is it for today, man. That's all I have for you today. Listen, thank you for coming with me for another episode of the Sport Vibes Podcast where, man, you already know the vibes, man. I'm Richard Mawson. I'm off this thing. Out.